Hello and welcome to Lesson 4, our final lesson for Page Maps U Silhouette Essentials 102. In this lesson, we'll be creating circular titles, working with layer designs, cutting nested shapes, and using our PicScan mat. So the fun thing about the PicScan mat is you can take virtually any pattern paper or image and choose how you want to cut out parts of that image on your PicScan mat. All you need to do is line up your item that you want to cut out inside the inner rectangle on your PicScan mat and take a picture with your phone or something that you can load onto your computer. Then you need to save that item to your computer and then open it up in Silhouette. To do that, you can either click on the top third icon in your row, which is the PicScan icon, or you can choose File, Open PicScan Image. Then you want to select Import from File and Import PicScan Image. And you want to just locate that image you saved on your computer, and as you can see here, it's going to load it onto my Silhouette mat right into the software. It's going to have it all formatted on the size of a PicScan mat. And from here, I'm really able to now use the trace function to decide what portions of this image that I want to cut out. So I'm going to go ahead and just select Trace Area and highlight my floral bundle here. And I'm just going to fiddle a little bit with the high pass filter and the threshold. We learned about this in Silhouette Essentials 101. So you just want to play around with these, the high pass filter and the threshold, until that highlighted area is yellow. If you select it like this where it's yellow, everything that's yellow is what's going to cut out. So you want to be careful. You're just selecting the, in this case, it's this flower grouping that I really want to cut around the outside edges. And I'm just making sure that as much of that image is filled in with yellow as I possibly can make it without it being blurry. That looks pretty good. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hit Trace. And using my arrow tool, I'm just going to highlight everything and release the compound path to make each of those shapes individual. And I fill it in with black. And the reason I do that is not because I want it to be colored black later, because that won't happen. It's just so I can more easily identify which shapes I'm trying to remove that I don't want to cut out from my pattern paper. So I'm using that just to cut out the little bits and pieces here that have been picked up in that trace area. And then when I'm done, I'm just going to highlight the area that I like and make it a compound path again. And all those inner little bits are going to be cut out kind of like a cookie cutter. And now it's just a matter of selecting the correct mat in the page settings window and then going to the cut settings window and cutting it out. Now I'm going to show you how you can create an easy layered design. This could be, in this case, we're going to create a title, but you could definitely do the same thing with a different element such as a flower or a heart. And I'm just going to create a layered word title here. So I'm just going to grab a font and type in the words life is amazing, and it's going to be life is amazing. The trick is to really find a font that you like that's going to work for what you're going to do. And when you have a lot of fonts, it makes it more difficult. And there you go. I think that will work. And I'm just going to push these a little closer together and weld them together, which we learned about in Silhouette Essentials 101. And then create each of those words into a group so I don't lose little dots on the eyes. And then I'm going to make this word amazing and weld it as well. And make that a little bit bigger so you can see a little bit better. So I'm just going to join this title together. Again, this is just that welding option we learned about in Silhouette Essentials 101. And then I'm going to fill it in with a color so you can see better how we make that layered title. And it takes a little bit of playing around. You have to decide if you want to keep all those little dots or not. And I think I'm just going to leave this. I'm going to leave this the way it is. It's a little bit finicky filling out how you want everything to line up. So that's probably the hardest part of this whole technique. All right, so I'm just going to fill this with a little bit of a blue color so you can see later on the effect. So I'm going to choose the offset window and just choose a low level offset. I'm just going to make the distance pretty low. What I want here is to have, I'm trying to create a layered effect. So you can use this in few different ways. I'm just going to go all the way down, I believe, to 0.024. And then I'm going to hit apply. It's hard to see because it's white right now. I'll just group it and then change the color to black so you can better see. but it's just a slightly puffier version, I like to call it, of that blue word. Now imagine if you're using this on a scrapbook page, you can use it right directly on center, or on either side you can create a bit of a shadow for your title. So a really, really interesting and super easy way that you can go ahead and make a layered item. Again, you could use this not just for words, but for different shapes. And now you can go ahead, and if you want to see how this is going to be cut out from different patterns of paper, you can use that nesting option again. And in this case, I want to really make this a layered title, and I'm going to cut the same word, Life is Amazing, 4 different times from one pattern paper, and I'm going to layer them together on my design, my scrapbook page. So I'm going to use the nesting option to fill in my paper here for the 6x6 size, and I'm just going to turn this one on its side a little bit so we can get that all to cut in there. And then that way, when I want to put it on my scrapbook page later, I can put all the blue ones together and stack them up with adhesive in between and layer them over top of the black design, and you'll see the 3-dimension of the 4-layered designs with the little offset. So let's get to something fun, which is creating a circular title. And obviously the beginning way to start is by drawing a circle. In this case, I'm just going to do it in the center of my page. And then I'm just going to type out a certain sentiment here. You are my sunshine. And the key is to pick a font that will work. And depending on how you finish off your circular title, if you take it all the way to the end of this technique, you may want to make sure you choose a more simple font like Arial, or something without a lot of squirrely lines on it. Then you just want to click on that little X that appears and drag it towards the circle, and you can see that that automatically adjusts your text right to around the outer edge of that circle. If you go down into the bottom of the character spacing for the text style window, you can change the character spacing, and what that does is that snugs your letters up closer and closer together. It's also called kerning, if you've ever heard that before. So it's going to make your letters just get closer and closer together, almost so that you can weld them, in fact. You can also change the line spacing, and there is a thing here down at the bottom called kerning, where it will kind of make the V's and the U's fit together neater. There's also a text size you can play around a little bit with. You can see here I've shrunk it down really, really small. You can make it larger, and that's just going to make your size bigger or larger around the outer edge. In my case, I want to have the word repeat, so I just copy and paste that there. I'm going to leave a space in the middle. I'm just going to copy and paste that around, and then I'm going to play around with that character spacing just a tad more, just so I get that You Are My Sunshine on there 2 times. So there you go. That's how you can get text on a curve. Now you can leave it as it is, and it will print. You can weld it together and have a large circle with the text around it, or you can create something a little bit different. And so what you need to do for what I'm about to do is convert that image to a path, and that makes all those letters into its own shape. So it's no longer just words. You won't be able to edit them anymore. It's now its own shape. And now we're going to create a bit of a ring title. So I'm going to draw a circle. I'm going to want to have one circle on the inside of my title and one on the outside of my title, and I'll show you why in just a second. So you just need to play around a little bit with the sizing. I'm just trying to find one here that's going to fit nicely on the outside of my title. So I'm going to make this one 10 inches and see how that works. It's pretty big, so that's okay. I'm just going to align this by centering them. And I'll make this one a little bit larger, 9.5 inches, so that's great. Now I want to make another circle, so I'll just copy and paste and change the size of this one down. And again, you just go to your alignment tool and hit center. And you can see that inside circle is not quite small enough, so I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller. Oops, I made the wrong one smaller. These things happen. And make the small circle small, even smaller. You can move things out of the way and just realign them again, just like that. Now if I want to highlight everything here together, now that it's centered, and make it into a compound path, I've now taken those letters and essentially punched them out like a cookie cutter into that ring. Now you have your own fun circular title. Here is the sketch for this lesson. This one here involves the large circular title. You can see I didn't create the ring for my page. I just cut out the one from the class and lined it up along in a circle. If I had cut this straight and tried to get this to line up into that circular shape, it would have been pretty difficult. So putting it into that curve really helps get the title on a page in a circular form. And in the second sketch for this lesson, I created that layered title. You can see here I added some foam adhesive in between my layers versus cutting multiples of the same word, but you definitely could do the same thing. And I did the same thing with some hearts. I layered them together and just stitched them up onto my page. So that is it for Page Maps Silhouette Essentials 102. I hope you've enjoyed all the lessons and learned a lot. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again on pagemaps.com.